Michael Crimp, CEO of IBC. Thanks very much indeed for joining me. So we've been forced to cancel IBC this year. So what's the background to the cancellation?
Well, it's a long story. I guess it all began back in February with the cancellation of Mobile World Congress. I think that's when everybody realised how seriously COVID might affect those outside of China. So we started to track different scenarios at that point in time, and it came to a head in May. I could give you a bit more background of the story if you're interested. I guess some people might like to know how it unfolded.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Yeah. Well, I guess an interesting perspective to look at it through is through the timing of it. I think what we saw is that there's a natural run up to IBC, especially if you're an exhibitor. You've got 4 different points where you make commitments as it escalates towards being fully committed to the show. The last one of those decision-making points is in July. I mean, our logic at the time was the more time we have for people to decide, the better, because just the general government environment, the understanding of what we were dealing with, a whole raft of things, really. So we set out a plan to try and bring people along on that journey. It was clear that because of the importance of IBC, people would be looking for some leadership from us on it, and we decided our style of leadership quite simply would be to treat people as grown-ups in the short term. So what we did was we went back to the supply chain, and we pushed all of our deadlines so that no one had to commit anything to a hotel or a supplier that would affect their presence at IBC. So they had all that much time. And then we proactively published our policy, so as they came along with us on the journey, they could make their own choices. So what would they get as a refund from IBC? What could we do about commitment dates for some companies who wanted special payment dates? So we kind of went along like that. What emerged over a period of time was, although there was very strong support from the exhibitors and the visitors for doing that, things weren't getting that much clearer. In essence, IBC can only take the government advice, talk to the RAI and the events industry about how we would interpret that advice, and then turn it into the IBC experience. And in short, by May time, it was becoming less clear in a way. We decided to survey the visitors and the exhibitors. The visitors were mainly undecided. They wanted to come to IBC. It was like 20% I'm definitely coming, 20% I'm not coming. Everybody else, I want to come, but all these things are getting in the way. So that was one issue. For the exhibitors, and I guess this is something which we have now, first of all, their timeline, their run into IBC was much longer. I could see it through R&D, but I didn't realize how long the stand, booth planning and some of those aspects would take them. So it became to the point where leading people along bit by bit to have the optimum point in time move forward from July to May, because people needed that extra time. It was not becoming any clearer, and it just seemed to us that if we couldn't call it now as a safe event, and we couldn't call it as a valuable event, it was the right decision to cancel the show. We were also aware that as we went forward, people would start commit lots of money to the show, and that's not necessarily the best thing for them to spend that money on if we can't deliver the value at the other end. So even simple things like, well, if you have a 10-meter booth and you're a small company and it's a 2-meter social distancing, how many people can you have on your booth? If you're a big company, you've got 200 people theatre, you know, and just social interactions, the wearing of masks. We know how important hospitality is. So for all of those reasons, we thought, look, let's make a clear decision to cancel for the best for the industry. And well, all we've had back is support for that decision. It's
Sure.
very sad for me, very sad for my team, but that's the way it is. Health and safety first.
Absolutely, absolutely. IBC has always proudly boasted that it's run by the industry for the industry. So talking to all the different stakeholders is a very important part of it, I guess.
It is, and as you know, Dick, because you've been involved in some of those groups and committees over the years, we have a very strong exhibition group. We have a content group. We have a group that puts our awards on. So it is very much connected to people who are involved in the industry every day. So we're very fortunate to have those feedback loops in play all of the time. We also did some more formal research. The IABM, for example, is one of our shareholders, so we are able to work very closely with them to get the sentiments of the exhibitors. And we also are owned by 5 other industry bodies who therefore are all on our board, have a very good mix of understanding of what's happening around the industry in general.
Sure, and those shareholders, the 6 partner bodies, obviously they have a combination of feelings about the choice of abandoning this year's or cancelling this year's IBC. Are they all on board?
Yeah, we've been having weekly meetings to make sure we're all aligned, and been running through each scenario as it unfolds. Everyone was aligned with the decision. I guess in essence, IBC's got a very strong and important heritage, and it will have a very strong and important future, we hope. So in order to protect that, we have to make the right decision for everybody right now.
Sure.
So I mean, the commercial aspects of it. Sorry, I was just going to say the commercial aspects of it will clearly hit IBC hard, but at the end of the day, IBC's heritage, reputation, and future is the main thing.
Yeah, sure. So let's look to that future, and most obviously, what's going to happen this September?
Well, in September we're planning to sort of own IBC Week with a virtual event. IBC has a platform called IBC 365, and it has about 100,000 users a month. And during IBC last year, I was just looking at the numbers before I came on. It went 225 up to 250,000 people looking at it during that week. So the way IBC looks at its commercial products is we look for products which generate leads, help with thought leadership, or are focused on brand awareness. So those are the aspects that have been running through IBC 365. So we've designed a range of activities that will happen during that week. That there's an exhibitor showcase with different parts on it. There's some matchmaking facilities. There's the highlights of our content program online, and there's just a whole bunch of things really that we're looking to do. So it should be a good week.
Sure. It's easy to think of IBC purely in terms of 1,800 exhibitors, but it's really 3 things, isn't it? It's the exhibition, it's the conference, and it's the atmosphere, the networking opportunities. So first of all, what's the conference going to look like?
Oh, well, we've just really pared down the program that we would have had physically into the key highlights. I'm being a little bit vague at the moment, and let me tell you why. Because you asked me a question earlier about the different stakeholder groups. We have an international council senior broadcasters from around the world, and we have a meeting with them, online meeting tomorrow. And we're going to ask them, get their feedback on what some of that content should be. There's a lot going on in the virtual world at the moment, so we just want to find out from them, looking at our program, what they think would be rich and engaging, what the topic should be at that particular stage. So I don't have the detailed agenda for you right now, Dick, but trust me, we're working on it, and you'll be hearing all about it very soon.
It's probably worth underlining that point about the IBC Council, not necessarily very visible to exhibitors or visitors, but it's always been there, and it's always been a grouping of industry leaders, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a rolling group, so they have like a 2-year tenure. It's global. We meet physically at IBC and NAB, and we have various meetings and discussions in between. They help us evolve our strategy. So the other topic on the agenda tomorrow is, what do they think the future of big events look like? How will their companies be looking to treat big events going forward, so we can help to mold and adapt to their needs as this unknown unfolds.
Yeah, sure. Just going back to the three legs of the physical IBC, I mean, the networking has always been extremely strong by adding value through experiences like screenings and the awards, but also just by giving people a chance to meet up. You talked about matchmaking events. Is this something that you're trying to do to not replicate the networking, but give some boost in that area?
Well, I think it's something we've always had, and it's something that IBC has been promoting and working towards. We have an agenda to provide ROI for exhibitors and visitors, and one of the things is matchmaking, and we've been looking to use and develop event tech through there are different parts. There's our registration system, there's our apps, there's an online matchmaking system, there's all the different content, and we've been working over a period of time to try and join that up into a different sort of experience, not with this pandemic in mind. Well, obviously we didn't know it was coming, but we did think that perhaps that as the role of booths developed from just being a product supermarket, and people are more and more engaging with us and our customers off the booth in different experiences that they're targeted, they would like to have a data set relevant for the, this decade of the 20th century, which helps them plot what's happening to their investment. So some of the things that are on there are matchmaking. There are things that we've been working on, and we've been talking, again, to go back to our committees, we've been talking to our exhibition committee about a roadmap for tech, about what we can do, what we think we can do, and what would be desirable. And I think if I'm right, then the way that pandemics may affect big shows, being able to do that much more detailed in advance will be very important. That's not to say that it takes away in any way from the most important social aspect of it. I have a great confidence in the future for big events, because there's value there just by the fact you've got the scale there. It costs a lot, but you get a lot out of it. It's a point in time when everyone can get together and see everything. From my point of view, business is about relationships and trust. So getting together and seeing the people is very, very important indeed. I don't see that going away.
That's a really interesting point, and we know that you're quite busy trying to create plans for this September. But come September 2021, when we hope we're all going to be back in Amsterdam, it's probably going to be a different experience anyway, isn't it?
Oh, I wish I knew the answer to that, Dick, because half the time I think it's going to be completely different, and obviously we'll make plans for that. But other times I think maybe it won't be so different if there's a vaccine, if things calm down. We all live in. I mean, if you just think how much atmospheres have changed just since we first knew about it in China, I think it could change again quite quickly. So, as I say, we're planning for a number of scenarios, even one where there may be a kind of re-emergence of some kind of the pandemic. But it's also quite possible that things will have calmed a little bit by then. So it actually means we have to just plan for all of those different things.
Quite a daunting task. Michael, thank you very much indeed for joining me on KitPlus TV. Thanks, Michael. You can watch the KitPlus Weekly TV show on our YouTube playlist. Subscribe to the channels to be sure not to miss a thing. See you next time.